Hello there, and welcome back to Writing from Scratch with me, Tom. In today's video, I want to read the second chapter of my book to you. If you haven't watched the video that I made about the first chapter, please go back and watch that now. Otherwise, please enjoy, and thank you very much for watching. Two. Daughter. "Are you sure, Mum?" Maria asks me as we drink some tea in her living room. My wonderful daughter is ever the skeptic. I think she worries too much. When I told her about what I'd found at the gallery, I was very excited. It was nice to have some news to share that wasn't about a funeral at church or some squabble in the book group. Maybe it's not very exciting news. Well, it's exciting for me. She listened patiently as I told her about Bridgman, and that I wanted to go to London for a few days, maybe even a week, to investigate. When I'd finished, she frowned and told me a story about something that I don't remember. I don't know why I'm even asking permission. Pat wouldn't have stopped me. "Do you think it's a good idea?" Maria says over the rim of her cup. "Because I'm old?" "No, but it will be good to get out of the house. I hate being cooped up in here." "Why don't we go somewhere nearby, St. Ives or Pendeen?" "We?" I ask, and I can see that I've upset her somehow. "I want to go to London, to Mr. Bridgman's house." "John and I are going to France in a week. Why don't you come with us instead?" "I want to go to London," I say firmly. "Well, I can't stop you." "No, you can't." It's funny though. Now I've won, I feel bad about doing so. Why couldn't she have just said yes and been happy to send me off from the station? Maybe it was something I did. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. "Why doesn't George take you up on the train? He has friends there who he can stay with while you search for this Bridgman." "Going with my grandson would be a lot of fun, but he might not want to be seen with an old lady like me." "I'm not old, and a grandson shouldn't be embarrassed about holding their grandma's hand. It can never hurt to be escorted around big cities with a young man, and if it will help Maria stop worrying, then why not?" The train. I've always loved going on the train. Even when I was a little girl, and Mum and I fled the bombs in Plymouth. I love seeing the colour race by, those beautiful rolling English hills, and the dull rattle of the rails below. With all our technology, I'm glad we still have trains. We're on the early morning express that goes straight to Paddington with no changes. George is listening to some music on his headphones, so I've settled down with a book. He gives my hand a squeeze. He's a good boy, and I boast about him to all the ladies at church. I watch Cornwall whiz by, and listen to the hum of the engine. I smile quietly and trace my finger along the glass. Do you ever just smile at something by yourself? I do. I think that's a moment of true happiness. The painting is wrapped up and tucked next to me. I can't focus on my book and smile to myself as the world rushes past outside. It's like I'm the girl under the tree already, whisked away by a swirl of colour and light. Paddington. I've been to London lots of times. I don't like it. There are far too many people here, and they all look so miserable in their suits and earphones. It's also very noisy with all the trains, and cars, and announcements that I don't understand. But I suppose they must like it here, or they wouldn't live here, would they? I hear many people work on their computers now. Seems very strange to me, but maybe I'm the strange one in this new world of telephones and smart thingamajigs. I do like Paddington Station, though, with its great metal arches and glass ceiling. It feels odd to feel nostalgic about a place you've never been to, and a time you've never lived in, but here I am, being nostalgic. I find my way from the platform, no thanks to the grumpy train guard who has to let me through the barrier when my ticket wouldn't work, and buy myself a sandwich from the tuck shop run by a smiling Indian lady. £7 for a sandwich? Ham and cheese? I exclaim when she taps the price on her till. "Yes, ma'am, that's the cheapest one," the Indian lady tells me cheerfully, and I begrudgingly hand over my money and wait for George to finish in the bathroom. I want to take the tube to Marble Arch, but the map for the thing is very confusing. George offers to put me in a taxi so I can go straight to Bridgman's house, but I balk at the price. I'll take my chances on the tube. I've done it before. I finish off my expensive sandwich, but I'm hardly full, and just hope my artist is a polite gentleman who offers his callers cake with their tea. That should fill a hole for the afternoon. George is off somewhere else for the day. I forget where. to see his cousin, and he's going to meet me back here in the evening. He seems worried, but I tell him to push off, as I don't want him looking at me like I might get lost. I might get lost, though, but I'll die before I admit it. We hug farewell, and he tells me to take the yellow line, I forget the name, and I descend into the underground with all the suits and invisible smiles. The Tube. It's very dirty here, and everyone seems eager to get in and then get out again. A kind young man with far too baggy trousers offers me a seat with a grin. He's covered in tattoos, which I can't say I'm fond of, but it's nice to see he respects his elders. I remember the Tube being a magical place when I visited as a girl on a school trip, but now, as it jolts and shudders down the dark pipes, it feels tired and old. Like me, I whisper and pat one of the bright red handrails. It's not very busy, but I guess everyone is in work. That's good. I don't think I would like it if we were all crammed in here like sardines. Wouldn't be good for me on my first try in a long time. I spend so much time thinking about being in a canned fish simulator that I've missed my station. It might be tired, but the Tube rattles on surprisingly quickly. We're at South Kensington now, when I should have changed at Notting Hill Gate. I follow Tattooed Man off the train at this point and make my way to the platform that takes me back towards Paddington. None of these trains go to Paddington. Some go to Wimbledon, others to Richmond, others to Edgware Road, but none for Paddington or Notting Hill. I notice that I'm alone now, on a platform all by myself. A train comes and goes for Edgware Road, but I hesitate to climb on board. I'm already lost, not that I'm telling George, and I can't get more lost trying to be found. Oh, what a mess. "Are you all right, darling?" a voice asks from behind, and a smiling old man in an orange and blue vest approaches. "I'm trying to get to Marble Arch," I say. "You want this train, then change at Notting Hill and head towards Epping," he smiles. "That will take me there? You're certain?" I ask, but he has the vest on, and I feel foolish for asking. "It's my job to be certain. I'll take you there myself. I'm Harry." Harry gives a small bow and holds out his hand. "A pleasure," I say, shaking his hand but keeping the picture under my arm tight. We talk on the platform until the train comes. Harry has worked at TfL, that's Transport for London, he tells me, for 50 years. "You must be older than me," I exclaim in shock. "I would never ask your age, so you're the only one who knows if that's true," Harry chuckles. We change at Notting Hill Gate, then continue to trundle on towards Marble Arch. "What's with the parcel?" Harry asks, lightly jabbing the paper wrapping. "A mystery I'm trying to solve," I smirk. Nursing. I used to be a nurse. I know lots of people don't like their jobs, but I very much enjoyed mine. Helping people was something I found immensely rewarding, and for me, that's more important than the flashy cars or fancy watches I see all these business people with. Some days were hard, there's no denying, but I had a house, and a family, and a lovely husband. My Pat. I hear lots of nurses find it hard these days. Too much work and not enough pay, or enjoyment. That's not good for anyone, I think. And all those business people with all their money and expensive clothes? Well, I don't think that's good for anyone either. I expect it does something to your soul. Don't ask me, I'm not an expert, and I don't know any rich people, but that's just my feeling. They never really look happy, do they? Houses. My house in Cornwall is small and cosy. Bridgman's house is large and imposing, with bone-white walls and curtained windows. Black spiked railings line the perimeter, and a glossy black door stands before me. I miss my own home at this moment, with all its knick-knacks that I've collected over the years and a plump cushion on the sofa. I even have a string of fairy lights in the shape of bees which I got for Christmas. I don't think Bridgman's house has bee fairy lights. I tuck the painting into my armpit and consider turning away for a moment, but then my old stubbornness comes charging back in, and before I can second-guess myself, I've rung the bell. Children. I have 3 children. 3 wonderful, kind, and brilliant children. Maria is my eldest and my only daughter. She was a teacher, but retired when she got cancer. She's better now, thankfully. Patrick, after his father, is my eldest son, and he's done all sorts. He was in the Merchant Navy for a time, then joined the police and lived in Middlesbrough, and now works for Border Force in Plymouth. Between you and me, I think he needs to lose a little weight, but he's very active, and I'm not a doctor. John, same name as my son-in-law, very confusing, is my youngest, and took after his brother and joined the Merchant Navy, though I remember him dropping out of school and coming home with those signed papers. I almost had a heart attack. Still, he became a police officer too, and now he runs a care home for the elderly, so I suppose it ended well enough. I'm glad my children had siblings. It was something I never had. I just had Mum. Tea and cake. The door to the house on the corner of Park Street and Upper Brook Street opens silently, and another man looks down his nose at me. That easy? Mr. Bridgman? I ask. He gives a small nod. And who might you be? I pat my painting and explain why I've come. He listens patiently like a good gentleman, but no smile dares to escape his lips. When I'm finished prattling, he sighs. I see. Well, sorry to disappoint, but I'm not the Mr. Bridgman who you're after. You want to speak with my wife. 1 moment, please. The man calls for someone within the house, gives me a polite smile, and then leaves me on the doorstep. A moment later, a lady arrives in the man's place. She's around my age, but very pretty in a floral summer dress that reaches to her ankles. Yes, she asks, and I re-explain myself. When I'm done, she asks, would you like cake and tea? Music to my ears. There are no beef fairy lights, but the house is decorated warmly with thick carpets and cream-coloured walls. Not enough clutter for me to feel comfortable, but the settee is soft and the tea is hot. Where did you get this? My host asks. She didn't introduce herself, but her name escapes me now. I explain that I can't remember, and she doesn't seem surprised as she traces her finger gently over the painting. Is it real? Is this his house? I ask. It is, and it was, Heather answers. That's her name, I remember. Was? Yes, Wilfred Bridgman lived here some 20 years ago, she tells me as she brings me another slice of delicious red velvet cake. He left the house to me when he departed, and now I live here with my husband. He took my name. She gives me a wink and a smile. I like that. Where did he go? Neville? Wilfred. Norway, she tells me casually, as if she were reading the weather forecast. From there, I don't know. He liked to disappear spontaneously. You are his daughter? She nods and then gestures to the other paintings on the walls that I hadn't noticed. Different scenes of landscapes in distant places, but all in the same style. Do you know where this painting was painted? I ask, recalling the real reason I'd come halfway across the country. She shakes her head, and I can't deny that I'm disappointed. I may be able to point you in the right direction, though. More cake? Travel. I think I've travelled a lot. I've been to lots of beautiful places in Europe with my friends, and I've travelled to the Gambia with the church. George claims he's been over to 30 countries, and he's not even that old yet, though he did live in Asia for a few years, and he has lots of European friends at university, so I suppose it makes sense. Bridgman, however, seems to have been everywhere. Heather walks me around the house, showing me each picture. It's revealed that each one reflects a country or place he's visited. There are sweeping mountains from Italy, and busy markets in Hong Kong, vast Brazilian forests and barren Mexican deserts. The bulk of his work seems to be UK-based, which gives me hope that I won't have to venture too far. He certainly lived an adventurous life, but it doesn't bring me closer to finding out where my painting is from. We spend some time poring over the details of my painting. Heather thinks it's England. Neville thinks it might be Japan. I'm not convinced by either, but I don't have any better ideas, so I just happily sip my tea as they natter on. It's nice to be with people my age who aren't complaining about death and organ music for once. Night. I have 5 missed calls from George when I finally check my phone. He's been waiting at Paddington for an hour, though he doesn't sound that worried and expected I was either lost or chatting. He knows me well. Heather and Neville invite us both to stay that evening so they can have more time with the painting. It turns out Mr. Bridgman was quite wealthy, hence the extensive travel and large London house, so I don't feel as if we're imposing. Besides, I never liked hotels much anyway. When George arrives, he's tired but joins in our hypothesizing session. We've all changed our minds about where the painting was painted about 12 times by then, so he has a lot of catching up to do. I'm told that Mr. Bridgman rarely painted the same place twice, except the UK. So from the collection of paintings in the house, we're able to rule out a few places, but that still leaves a lot of guesswork. George inquires if anyone has tried to find him to ask, and Heather laughs. Even Neville cracks a smile. They claim nobody can find him if he doesn't want to be found. Well, that's not helpful. Thank you very much for watching the second chapter of my book. I hope you enjoy it. I plan to release further chapters in the new year. But for now, this will be my last video for this year, so I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope to see you all in 2023, where I plan to continue showing you my journey of becoming a writer. Please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video with your friends because it all helps the channel grow. Thank you very much.